what really interested me was the fact that you've had a lot of experience teaching. You know, you can uh, like be taught by the best storyboard artists like that you can think of, but like they might not be a good teacher. They might not have the experience to teach. They're so like advanced.
Yeah. Hey everyone, today I have another mentee testimonial. Today I have Emilio. And Emilio, could you just really quickly introduce yourself to everyone?
Hello, my name is Emilio Ramos. I guess I started. I went to college for animation, and I kind of dropped out to work on my portfolio, on my storyboard portfolio. So I mean, that's also like why I'm taking this why I took this mentorship, so I could see, what I kind of what I missed out on, trying to learn on my own.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And where are you from, Emilio?
I'm from the United States, in Wisconsin.
Okay, awesome. All right, so Emilio finished my mentorship maybe almost like a month ago now,
Yeah.
maybe, right? So, Emilio, the first question I want to ask you, and I ask this to everyone, um, why did you decide to take this mentorship? Because there are a lot of professionals out there, giving classes, professionals from Pixar, from DreamWorks, from Netflix, giving classes and mentorships. Why do you say I'm going to go specifically with this mentorship?
Yeah, when I first heard about the mentorship, I was doing research. I'm like, okay. I mean, I know I've heard about your, like your storyboards through YouTube tutorials.
Mm-hmm.
I started trying to learn how to storyboard. I saw your video on like layer comps and stuff.
Okay.
But what really interested me was the fact that you've had a lot of experience teaching. You can uh, like be taught by the best storyboard artists like that you can think of, but like they might not be a good teacher. They might not have the experience to teach. They're so like advanced,
Yeah.
that they don't really know how to to teach the bare foundations of storyboarding. So I was like, you know what, this person I feel like I can trust. They have a lot of teaching experience from different schools like Brainstorm,
Yeah.
Schoolism, right? Schoolism.
Well, I didn't teach at schoolism.
Oh
No,
yeah.
no, no. I just
Oh
had an
okay.
interview with Bobby Chu, and I worked
Mm-hmm.
with his wife Kay, but I didn't teach. Yeah, I teach at Brainstorm for like a year though. Yes, yeah,
Oh, okay. But yeah.
yeah. So, but thank you for trusting me, and I do agree with you. Sometimes uh, the best directors are not really the best teachers. And just to give you guys a quick story, I took, I don't know if many of you know, there's a master class with Martin Scorsese, and he teaches a master class. And I took that class, and I was like, you know what? Martin isn't a good teacher. And I was like, what am I learning in this class? He was just kind of talking, and I didn't really learn much, right? But he's a master filmmaker. So, just to kind of hammer onto your point, right? But moving on, right? So, Emilio took the 10-week story mentorship, and he was able to develop two sequences. Emilio, could you tell us, about your experience about working on those sequences and developing those sequences in the mentorship?
Um, I think like there's like it's probably not how the mentorship was supposed to be. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people who have stories that kind of progressed
Yeah.
through the mentorship, but like it was like a lot of iteration of the story. um, there like that was the biggest issue I had starting this mentorship, and boy, like I felt like it was like a like infinite, like just so long spending the time on this story, like the cat story. Like I was like, oh my gosh, these cats! Like I'm just like my brain is just full of cats right now. I can't think of anything else.
Yeah.
Going crazy, but I think that's it was a good experience for me because I haven't really committed to a story for that long before. Um, I'm like really quick to just like move on to the next thing. Like I don't really care about this. Let me just give up and go on to a new thing. But with this one, I was like, I have to finish this assignment. I have to, follow through with whatever, the story that I have. Even though it's kind of funny, the first assignment is supposed to be for, just to make it easier to not think of a story,
Yeah.
right? Think of a documentary and just
Yeah.
like it's easy, just do a video. But I couldn't help but like think of like, okay, with these characters, like what are their personalities? It might have also had to do with the fact that this it's kind of a hard documentary video to make a storyboard out of,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of characters. It could have been, like all these different animals could have been the main character.
Yeah.
So I really had to think about,
Yeah.
what the characters' motives are, what would make the story more interesting. But yeah, a lot of iterations. Was my experience.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
Um,
like
yeah.
even though you say that you had to make a lot of iterations, that's actually a common thing. It's not just you. A lot of students, it's kind of like the first time having to revise, because they get that feedback and they actually, uh, with somebody who's telling them, hey, this doesn't work, you got to change it, and keep changing it and keep changing it every week that we met. So, and that's actually really normal in the studio. Like every sequence that you work on, the director is going to say, hey, change this. How about we try this? Even if you get it right, they'll be like, what if we do this? And what if we do that? And what if we do that? So it's good that you actually, you know, experience that here first rather than on the job for the first time experiencing this and you're like, oh my god, I can't take this, it's so hard. So it's good to
Mhm.
kind of dip your feet into the water and just get accustomed to that process, and actually spending 4 to 5 weeks on a sequence is normal when working in feature, right? So the next question I want to ask you is, given that the mentorship was broken up into two sections, we had like the presentation part, and then we had the part where we focused on developing your sequences. Was there anything that you learned in either section that you didn't know before, and you learned it in whether it was in the presentation side or whether it was just us brainstorming and trying to fix the sequence? Was there something you learned that you never knew before?
Mm. It's kind of funny. Like I spent probably like, how long has it been since I graduated high school? Like probably like 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that was just me learning on my own.
Yeah.
But I still found like certain like quotes that I've taken from your presentations
Mm-hmm.
that kind of simplify it. Like it's still something I haven't heard of before. You hear all these
Oh.
like story structure terms and stuff, but like you kind of put it like in like very simple words. Like one of them was what was it? Like if you get something soon, it was I'm probably not saying exactly. It was like if you get something very easily,
Yeah.
like you won't value it.
Yeah. Yeah.
For the characters, if they by the end of the story, you have to feel like they've gone through it,
Yeah.
and so you value like what they get at the end more.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought that was like really well said. Yeah, I mean, you gotta just kind of put your character, through all these situations.
Yeah.
So you feel like, okay, well, I think at this point they've changed their ways, or they really deserve the thing that they got at the end.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome.
Um,
Appreciate that. Because I really try to make things simple. So you actually saying that makes me realize, like, okay, I'm doing something right. So that's good
yeah.
to hear. All right. Do you have like a favorite part of the mentorship, whether it be anything in the theory part, the story part, maybe working on your personal sequence? Was there like a moment or class that you really really enjoyed?
Hmm. Hmm. Uh, um, I did like doing the personal story because it was like the first time it was supposed to be pick a video, animal
Yeah, yeah.
documentary video, and the second assignment was gonna be to create a story from scratch.
Hmm.
I think funny enough, like it was like reverse for our situation.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I created a story from scratch, kind of, and then kind of went on to just have like a base story, like something that happened in my life.
Hmm.
And it was a lot nicer to have that idea set,
Yeah.
and kind of just like refine. what I could do to make it more entertaining rather
Yeah.
than focusing on like oh well this story is kind of broken still, we
Yeah.
gotta fix something,
Yeah.
not that I mean the story still could the personal one still needed to work, but like it wasn't I was able to focus on like the camera movements,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
like the angles, the composition, and I feel like that's where I learned the most
Yeah.
out of mentorship.
Yeah. Because
Storyboard wise, probably learned the most with the cat story
yeah.
because there's a lot of story. Like I haven't really gotten down, trying to write a whole story.
Hmm.
Yeah, I guess it was like different um, things to value in each assignment.
Yeah, that's true. Because even in the second one, we had a lot of discussions about you know keeping the truth of your memory or the real experience you had and adding entertainment value to that. So you wanted to, make sure it was true to the memory. And I was trying to
Mhm.
tell you, like, well, sometimes we gotta like push and pull for the
Yeah.
entertainment, and
Mhm.
sometimes we gotta cheat and maybe lie sometimes, but you could still say this was a true story. And it
Yeah.
was kind of dancing around that, and making it that memory cinematic and making it something that people will watch and be entertained by a story that happened in your life, right? Um, I think I'm not sure, but you might be the first one out of maybe 40 plus students that decided to do something based on something that happened to you in your life. Everyone else kind of just, made up something. So
Mhm.
you kind of decided to do that, and, it's totally up to you, for those of you who are watching, if I look at the individual, you could come up with anything that you want. And as Emilio could testify to, I don't try to direct your story, but I try to help you direct your own story and try to make your story better and tell you maybe why this is like this and why I'm telling you to do things a certain way, right? So I'm really glad you actually enjoyed working on your story because you should be
Mhm.
enjoying
Yeah.
working on like your personal story the most, right? Um, so the last question I want to ask you, Emilio, since you experienced the entire mentorship, if you had to recommend this mentorship to anyone, right? Who would you recommend it to, or who do you think would get the most value out of a mentorship specifically like this?
Mhm. Um, I feel like anyone who still feels like they don't know everything about like storyboarding, if they think that they know, there's like so many things you need to know as a storyboard artist, and I feel like you kind of go through all of them.
Yeah,
Like even after trying to learn on my own, I still kind of found some new information that YouTube videos don't tell you.
yeah,
um, so yeah, I feel like and also probably like all ranges of skill would be well with this mentorship. Um, yeah.
yeah. Awesome, awesome. So, um, just to kind of go back to the point that you just mentioned there, that you learn some stuff that you didn't hear about on like YouTube videos and stuff. And I just tweeted something like a few days ago, and I said you can learn stuff on your own, but if you want to break into the industry before like you're 30 or you're 35, and you want to break in maybe before 25, 23, 22, around there, you should probably get a mentor because you can learn. I think eventually you would have encountered things that I'm teaching after like searching and searching on your own. But everything here is just funneled. Like I just funnel all the important information for you so that you know what you have to know to work in the industry, right? Whereas,
Mhm.
like when you're learning on your own, you have to search and then you have to kind of filter it on your own, and then you're kind of looking and finding stuff that maybe isn't useful to you and stuff like that. So, It just generally takes you a longer time doing stuff by yourself. And I know for a fact because I did it. I did that for a very long time, maybe up until like I was like 28. I was just doing stuff on my own, right? Until there was the boom of like teachers online, and I finally got my mentor Stephanie, who congratulations, she just co-directed Kung Fu Panda. And the stuff I learned from her, like immediately after the year after I got my job at Netflix. So, um, like, I so recommend that if you want to get in faster, get a mentor. But if you don't mind spending 10 years like toiling on your own, you eventually will learn what I'm gonna teach. It's just I'm gonna save you 5 to 10 years. It's literally like that's what it comes down to. Do you want to get in now or do you want to get in later? Right? So, Emilio, if anyone wants to see the work that you're doing, I know you're kind of still kind of cleaning stuff up and still kind of tightening stuff up.
Mhm.
So, if people want to follow you to see when you actually post your work, where can they find you on social media?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Julio Bistio. You can also find me on LinkedIn. I've started posting there. It's just Emilio Ramos. I
Okay.
don't know how if there's username for LinkedIn, but yeah, I post there too. So yeah.
Okay, awesome. I will tag your Instagram and they should be able to find you on LinkedIn and stuff. So, for those of you watching, just look below the video and you should be able to find Emilio. And if you want, you can ask him more questions about the mentorship. I always encourage people to talk to my past students to find out if I paid them to say good things or not. So, which I did. Emilio is saying this on his own free will, and I do not have a gun
Yes.
under this table pointed at him
Mhm.
to say these things, right? But you are very much welcome to ask him questions. I'm sure he'll answer your questions, right? For those of you who are watching right now, if you are interested in any of my mentorships, whether it be this one or the action boarding, feel free to contact me. We can book a consultation call where you can talk to me one on one, and I'll help you make a decision on which mentorship is right for you, right? Again, Emilio, thank you so much for taking the time to share your experience with everyone,
Mhm.
and I hope it will help somebody make the right decision, right? So, thank you again, everyone, and I'll see you around with new students. Bye bye.